Jacob Edwards, welcome to North Melbourne, mate. We're rapt to have you. I'm interested, first of all, in knowing. So you went back to school today, and what was your reaction like as you walked into school and you walked up to your mates?
Yeah. Oh, well, I was at homeschooling today. So, obviously it was pretty crazy still having all my mates just, I guess, not face to face, but on the camera saying congratulations. Obviously, I've got a lot of mates at my school, so there was a fair few of them saying congratulations. But, teachers as well also supporting me. So, obviously, it was such a good moment, I guess, just to live in.
How many texts are you getting, mate? I've heard your phone go off about 10 times even since we've started.
Sorry, my phone's been still going crazy since last night. Yeah, I've probably had like 50 odd messages so far.
It must be a pretty amazing feeling. I guess yesterday, you still played school footy, you're still a pretty normal guy, and then all of a sudden you see yourself on. Well, you obviously didn't see yourself, but you're on AFL 360, you're on Footy Classified, and your mates are probably watching on from home, going, "Oh my god!" What was that like?
Oh, well, I guess this is just something you don't really think about. Like, it just happened in the moment, really. Like, obviously, it's only just been the start of this year when, like, all this media and everything started building up to me. But, yeah, it's just been fantastic, really. Like, I love having all these, like, media interviews and, I guess, taking on new experiences.
Flashback sort of 6 months and you're overlooked for the draft. Did you ever think it would become what it's become and you'd be in the position that you are now? You probably expected that you'd be potentially going into another draft at the end of the year, but did you expect that you'd be nominating for mid-season draft?
Oh, well, at the start of the year, I never even thought like I was eligible to be in the mid-season. But I guess once reading all these articles and finding out I can be in this draft, I guess I just saw it as a step closer to, getting closer to my achieved dream. So I guess I thought it'd be just a good opportunity to take on.
And you said that Lukey McDonald sent you a text before it had even been announced. It's quite funny that, but how was that getting a text from an AFL player straight up? It must have been something that kind of reality must have hit pretty quickly, I imagine.
Yeah. Oh, well, once I read it, I still couldn't believe it. Like, thinking that was actually him. But yeah, he rang me as well after the draft, and we had a chat just about him saying congratulations and everything. But yeah, just by the sounds of him, the North Melbourne club sound like absolute legends, and yeah, I can't wait to meet the rest of the team.
You spoke about that David Noble gave you a call on the night before, on Tuesday night, I believe. Tell us how that conversation went down. You obviously probably had an inkling a little bit, but I imagine it was still pretty amazing to get that news.
Yeah. Oh, well, obviously I was pretty surprised when he said like he wanted to do the Zoom at like such a late time, but obviously I was never going to miss that call. Obviously I'm going to take it, but yeah, it was obviously something I wasn't really expecting, but I guess once he told me, it was just, I don't know, it's just that feeling you have once your dream's been achieved. Like, it just feels so good that's happened. But yeah, no, David's like a really good bloke. He's really caring for me, and also it sounds like he's going to care for the whole team as well.
Fantastic, mate. And I guess the more important stuff, tell us about you as a player.
Oh, well, obviously I'm very competitive. Like, obviously I'm always going to give my best out in trainings and also games. But yeah, I'm 202 centimetre tall ruckman that also likes to play forward and kick goals. So I guess I like to play anywhere around the ground. And if I ever get the opportunity to play on the AFL, obviously I'm going to take it 100%.
There's been a few comparisons in your playing style, a little bit of Joe Danaher in you from what I saw. Your left foot's pretty similar. Is there any type of guys that you sort of model your game off in particular?
Well, obviously one of the dominant ruckman, Max Gawn, is someone I've always like tried to, I guess, do my ruck craft off. Like, obviously he's a very good ruckman, so just his like hit out routines, and then also like his running patterns up and down the ground, working back and forward, is something I also want to just, I guess, image off him. So yeah, I guess Max Gawn was another player I image my game off.
So 18 years old and 202 centimetres, mate. When did the growth spurt come?
I was always a tall kid, but I guess I just kept gradually growing, and no one really thought, when am I going to stop? So I guess obviously by the looks of it, I never stopped. But yeah, being this height obviously is a great advantage for me playing ruck. But yeah, it's just, I guess I've lived with this my whole life, being the tall kid. But yeah, no, I always get the odd little kid staring at me thinking I'm some sort of giant.
um, you mentioned Max Gordon, and we've got a pretty handy ruckman ourselves in Todd Goldstein, who's been around for a long time, mate. Thinking he's someone that you can learn a lot from as a young ruckman coming through, but himself and Tommy Campbell's been around for quite a long while, and Tristan Sherry developing as well. I mean, they're some pretty handy guys to have around you, I imagine, as you're growing.
Yeah, obviously, I mean, they're absolutely talented players, but also, I mean, Anthony Rocker, who's the ruckman coach for North Melbourne, is another great player, I guess, to learn off, one of the legends of the game. So, I mean, having all these resources for me to develop as a player is just absolutely amazing for me.
What excites you sort of the most about joining the North Melbourne team? And they're a pretty young emerging side, and you probably fit in pretty well being in that sort of younger group, and obviously trying to build your career over a long period of time, I imagine.
Oh, I guess just also hearing about like this shinboner spirit. I guess obviously just recently having my meetings with North, all these like culture building activities I see North doing is just something amazing. Like I also take on pretty seriously. Like I think culture in a football club is something that should be taken on pretty importantly. So I mean, seeing the club that looks like I have a good culture, it's obviously something I want to be in.
I'm sure the fans would really appreciate that you're embracing that shinboner spirit, because it is such a big part of the club, mate. And we welcome you on board to join in that, of course. And you mentioned the Div 4. How do you explain your rapid rise from where you were then to where you are now? Is it a work rate thing? Is it an attitude thing? Or is it that you've just developed as a player?
I think all three of that is just combined, really. Like, I mean, I had a great opportunity by Mark Wheeler to be led into the Dragons program. And I guess once getting into that program, like it had that sort of belief for me in me to have that dream of getting drafted. So I guess, and then once having that belief is when my mindset changed to having that, like, I guess, motivation to keep trying and try my best to get to this stage where I am now.
Is the competitiveness that you mentioned, like we've watched your clips and you're a real hard tackler and you're going really hard at the footy, is that something you think will be unique for a big guy? Because obviously it is hard getting down to that ground level and that sort of thing for a big guy often, but it seems to be the prototype these days is that you need to be really agile and really tough and be able to do multiple things, not just hit outs.
Oh, I mean, when going for the ball, I don't really think about like much. I just think about getting the ball and either just giving it off to a teammate or like, hitting up a player on the lead. So I guess just putting my head over the ball and just trying to get it.
Beautiful, mate. What about juggling school with football? And you've sort of mentioned that you probably want to play out the year with school, but how does it look now? How do you sort of transition into the AFL program? I imagine you're probably just waiting to see how it all comes about, but you've got your VCE and you've got footy now, which is pretty massive.
Oh, well, yeah, obviously now just recently getting drafted by North. I'm just kind of letting it unfold, I guess, just waiting till I get those, I guess, programs and training schedules for me to, I guess, work around with school. But obviously I'm going to take my VCE, like I'm going to prioritize that just because that's pretty important in my year 12 year. So I guess once holiday comes as well, that's when I'll be doing most of my training for North.
Beautiful, mate. And the number 32, we can announce here that you've got the number 32, which is awesome. And I noticed you've already got it on your Instagram channel, so sure we can get some followers for you. But I don't know if you know, but 1975, Barry Davis actually wore the number 32 as the premiership captain. So it's a pretty significant number, mate. It must be pretty cool, I imagine, receiving your first number at an AFL level.
Yeah, oh, well, it's obviously massive having number 32 as well, because that was the jersey number my dad played with when he played footy when he was younger. So I guess I'm kind of just taking on that, his role as well, playing 32. So obviously he was stoked with that. But even though it wasn't planned, it was just such obviously a good coincidence that it's happened.
Great result, mate. And just talk us through what Nobe said to you on that Zoom call the other night as well.
Oh, well, yeah, it was obviously just me and then my mum and dad sitting with me, and it was with David Noble and Mark Finnegan there. And yeah, that was when like we're just sitting down. He's like, "You've been playing really well in your Mentone and Dragons career, so I think we're going to announce here now. We're going to take you pick one in the mid-season draft." And I guess once I heard that, it kind of just all hit me at once, like all these millions of questions and thoughts and like what's going to happen next, I guess, is all just flowing through my mind. Like I just still couldn't believe it. Like I still can't believe it now that I'm at this kind of stage. So, I mean, yeah, it was obviously a great moment to be in.
Awesome, mate. I'm glad you had an amazing experience there, and I'm sure all North Melbourne fans are rapt to welcome you on board. and embrace that shin boner spirit, as you said, mate. So, Jacob, congratulations from everyone at North, mate, and we can't wait to see you in at the club once things settle down with school and once things settle down with COVID as well, mate. So, well done and congratulations.
Thank you so much. Can't wait to get going.